Did you know that 99% of older women completely miss this one thing men ask when they're trying to flirt? Seriously, it's subtle. So subtle that most women just laugh it off or don't even realize it's happening. And trust me, once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. In the grocery store, at the cafe, even on the phone. I'm going to show you exactly what men ask, why they do it, and how you can respond in a way that puts you in control. Stick with me until the end, because some of the things men do will genuinely shock you. And hey, before we dive in, hit like, comment below with a yes, I need this, if you've ever felt confused by a man's words, and subscribe so you never miss these little truths. Here's the thing, men rarely come right out and say, I'm interested in you. Most of the time, they don't have the courage for that kind of bold honesty, and honestly, it makes their little tactics even more fascinating. Instead, they ask questions that seem completely harmless, questions that, if you didn't know better, you'd think are just casual conversation starters. Things like, do you come here often? Or, which coffee do you usually get? Or even something as simple as, do you know a lot of people here? At first, these questions sound innocent, friendly, polite, maybe even slightly boring. But underneath that casual tone, there's an entire strategy at play. These questions are not random. They are carefully chosen little probes designed to test something about you. They're trying to figure out how approachable you are, whether you're confident, if you have a sense of humor, or how playful you can be. And most women, especially older women, just answer politely, thinking, oh, he's just being nice, never realizing that this tiny, almost invisible question is actually a flirtation test, a way for him to gauge whether it's worth pursuing you further. It's so easy to miss because these questions don't come with flashing neon signs or loud trumpet fanfare. They are quiet, almost sneaky, which is exactly why so many women answer without thinking twice. We've been taught to respond to questions politely, not to analyze the intention behind every word a man says. And yet, once you understand what's happening, you see it everywhere, and it changes everything. Suddenly, you notice the way a man leans in slightly when he asks something, the little pause before he smiles, the subtle sparkle in his eye that says, I'm seeing how you react. It's a small, almost invisible dance of interest that happens in the blink of an eye, but once you know the moves, you can step into them, play along, or even lead. You don't have to blush or pretend to be flattered. You just have to recognize the signal, and that recognition gives you power. It puts you in control, and trust me, there's nothing more attractive to a man than a woman who sees him coming a mile away and still decides to play the game her own way. So why do most women completely miss this? Why do 99% of older women answer these questions and then move on without even thinking, wait a second, there's something else going on here? The answer is simple. We've been conditioned to expect flirtation in very obvious ways. We wait for grand compliments, bold gestures, or dramatic statements of interest, and when none of those happen, we assume there's nothing there. But modern men, especially those who are careful or shy, flirt in ways that are almost invisible. They test the waters first, cautiously probing, watching your reactions, gauging your humor, your patience, your confidence, and your awareness. It's subtle, yes, but it's deliberate. They're not confused. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're seeing how much they can get away with before they reveal their interest openly. And here's the kicker. When you miss it, you give away the advantage. You answer politely, you smile, you nod, and he walks away with a sense of how available or playful you might be. But when you catch it, when you see that question for exactly what it is, you shift the balance. Suddenly, it's no longer about him sizing you up. It's about you deciding how the interaction will go. You can tease, flirt back, give a clever answer, or even make him reveal a bit more about himself? You're no longer just responding, you're orchestrating the conversation. And the amazing part is that once you start noticing these patterns, it's like a light switches on. Every coffee shop visit, every social gathering, every casual chat, you begin to see these subtle flirtation tests everywhere. Men don't change, they just keep using the same tiny, polite questions, but now you see them coming a mile away. And that's incredibly empowering because suddenly you are the one in control, the one setting the tone, and the one who decides who deserves your attention, your time, and your charm. Let me give you some examples that happen all the time, the kind of moments that seem so small you almost overlook them, but if you pay attention, you'll start noticing the pattern everywhere. Picture this. You're at the coffee shop, standing in line, scrolling through your phone, and a man casually asks, "Which one's your favorite?" On the surface, it sounds innocent. Maybe he's just making conversation, right? But here's the truth. He's observing you. He's watching how you respond, the subtle expression that crosses your face, whether you look amused, intrigued, or slightly flustered. Every little reaction is information for him. Or imagine this. He calls you on the phone and asks, "Do you usually stay busy on weekends?" Again, seemingly harmless, maybe even friendly. But if you pause and think, it's a tiny test. He's trying to see if you have interests, if your life is full and vibrant, if you're playful or serious, how much time you give away easily. And most women answer it plainly. Yes, sometimes, or not really. They give him nothing to work with. But if you answer with a spark, a little teasing humor, or a confident twist, suddenly the dynamic flips. He's revealing himself to you, not the other way around. And it doesn't stop there. Picture a social event where a man asks, "Do you know many people here?" To the untrained eye, it seems like a simple question. Maybe he's curious, maybe he's shy, but again, underneath it is a subtle probe. He wants to know if you're approachable, if you're confident in a crowd, if he can draw you into a conversation. He's testing your energy, your friendliness, your charm, and whether he has a chance. These questions are everywhere. In line at the supermarket, at the gym, even in casual conversations with neighbors. Most women simply respond politely, thinking, "Oh, he's just making conversation," completely unaware that each question is actually part of a subtle dance of flirtation. But once you start noticing, it's like a secret code, and you begin to see it everywhere, and the power suddenly shifts. You're no longer just answering, you're guiding the interaction, deciding who gets to keep up and who doesn't. Here's how you can spot it instantly. First, pay attention to timing. These questions rarely happen at the end of a long conversation or after a friendship is well established. No, they happen early, almost immediately. He's testing the waters, seeing if you're receptive, and gauging your confidence right from the start. Second, notice the specificity. The question might look casual, but it's unusually personal or oddly detailed. For example, asking what kind of coffee you like or where you usually spend your afternoons seems harmless, but it's designed to get a reaction, to see how much you reveal and whether you give him the right energy in return. Third, watch how he reacts. He isn't talking about himself much. He's carefully observing you. Every pause, every laugh, every flicker of surprise tells him more than the words themselves. Most women miss this because they're focused on answering politely, not reading the signals behind the words. And once you recognize these signs, something changes. Suddenly, you're not just being asked questions. You're being tested, and you're aware of it. That awareness alone gives you power. You can respond in a way that teases, challenges, or even reverses the dynamic entirely. You can make him work a little, reveal more about himself, or show him that you're confident, experienced, and not easily fooled. Once you understand this, you'll start seeing these patterns everywhere. Every social gathering, every casual chat, every friendly conversation, and it becomes a game. You'll never feel caught off guard again, and men start revealing themselves without even realizing they're doing it, because you've learned the secret. Their questions are never as innocent as they seem. Now here's where it gets fun. You don't have to ignore him, you don't have to blush, and you certainly don't have to pretend you didn't notice. You have the power to respond in ways that are clever, confident, and even a little mischievous. Think about it. He's just asked a seemingly casual question, but underneath he's testing you, gauging your confidence, your playfulness, and whether you're aware enough to see what's happening. So instead of giving the polite, predictable answer most women give, you can flip the dynamic entirely. You can tease him a little. Oh, just come here to see if someone interesting would notice me. Or you can turn it around with a hint of curiosity. Why do you want to know? Suddenly, he's not in control anymore. You are. You're deciding how much of yourself to reveal, how playful you want to be, and whether this conversation is worth his time. You can even answer the question while making it clear that you're aware of the underlying intent. I usually come here, but only if I feel like being noticed. Or, I only pick this one when I'm feeling lucky. The key is subtlety and confidence. You don't need to over-explain, apologize, or worry that you're being too forward. The moment you show awareness without overdoing it, men get the unmistakable signal that you are confident, savvy, and not easily charmed. And let me tell you, there's nothing more magnetic than a woman who sees the game being played and decides to lead it. The best part is that once you start responding this way, interactions change completely. Men who were testing you cautiously now reveal themselves, often without even realizing they're doing it. They talk more openly, they share a little extra about themselves, they lean in, they try to match your energy because they sense you're in control. You're no longer answering questions. You're orchestrating the conversation, guiding it in ways that feel natural, playful, and even empowering. And the more you practice this, the more you notice it happening everywhere. At social events, in line at the store, at cafes, even in phone calls or casual chats with neighbors. Suddenly, the world looks different because you can see the subtle flirtation tests hiding in plain sight. You're no longer a passive participant. You're an active player, confident, aware, and in charge. And honestly, that confidence is incredibly attractive. It signals to men that you know your worth, that you're not easily fooled, and that if they want your attention, they need to step up their game. So next time a man asks what seems like a small, innocent question, take a moment, observe him, notice his energy, watch for those little tells, and decide how you want to respond. Playful, teasing, curious, confident. Any choice you make puts you in the driver's seat. You'll start noticing these hidden flirtations everywhere, and for once, you'll be the one setting the pace, choosing who deserves your time, and making sure the interaction is as fun, empowering, and rewarding as it should be. If this has been helpful, hit like, comment below with a story about a subtle question you've noticed from a man, and subscribe so you never miss these little truths that most women completely overlook. And if you want even more secrets older women don't know about men and dating, sign up for my free newsletter at savvysenior.beehive.com/subscribe, where I send tips straight to your inbox that you won't hear anywhere else. This is your chance to see the game clearly, take control, and make dating in your later years both fun and empowering, because once you know these little tricks, nothing ever surprises you again, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to shine, tease, and lead with confidence.